Welcome to another Movement Parallels Life practice. Thanks for joining me for today's 15-minute natural movement flow. We're going to have 3 sets of movements. The first 2 sets we're going to do for 2 rounds each. We're going to start off on the ground working some seated transitions. So this is just rotating around different seated positions, checking in with the body, and finding the positions that create the stretch that feel right for you today, and just kind of get a sense of where your body's at and how you want to move in today's practice. Be mindful of creating strength and stability in these positions and maintaining good postural alignment. Just always be considering your situational awareness, your ability to scan your environment and see what's going on around you. This is a good habit to get into both for practical situations and just for improving the quality of your movement and mobility. Settle into a cross-sit position and we'll work some get-ups next. Legs are crossed and feet are pretty close together. You initiate this with a little rock forward that brings your weight over your feet, and then you push through the outer edges of the feet to come up to standing. Truth be told, this isn't my favorite pattern, but that's exactly why I decided to throw it in. And as far as environments to practice in, it doesn't get much better than a nice grass field for the cross-sit get-up. So once you master it on soft ground, then you can try working on firmer surfaces. One more pattern in this first set. This is going to be a kneeling get-up, inverted crawl combination. From kneeling, you tuck your toes, lean back, and then suck back through your hips to get into this deep knee bend or squat position. And then it's the transition of reaching back for the ground behind you, making sure those shoulders feel stable and strong, and then going into the inverted crawl. Let's run it back for round 2, starting off with seated transitions. Be mindful of your breathing, your posture, and your environment, and then start to dial in on those variations, the positions, and the transitions that are going to work best for your practice today. Transition into cross-sit get-ups. There's another variation that I sometimes call the cross squat get-up. Instead of crossing the ankles, you reach the leg back across the body and then lower down to this seated position where your legs are deeply crossed. So play around with both of these variations. I think the cross sit builds some really nice strength and mobility in the ankles. The cross squat get up is really nice for hip mobility. We finish out set 1 with our kneeling get up, inverted crawl combination. Second round is our opportunity to polish the movements and play a little bit more. Keep working on that transition from kneeling to inverted crawl. It can be a little bit tricky. You just want to make sure that you're always in control and you're making these transitions as smooth and seamless as possible. We'll keep right on rolling and transition into set 2. Round 1 starts with squat shifting. So I open up a wide stance squat. You can bring your hands to the ground and try to maintain good length through your spine as you start to shift weight right and left and starting to pull yourself down, sinking into those hips. This is one of my favorite patterns, and it's going to look a little bit different for everybody. This is an opportunity to just get a better sense of how your hips work and how to create strength at different angles to support your body. But it's also a process. Go slow, respect your current range of motion. Keep a curious mindset as you move. Make sure that you're not just performing the pattern the same way over and over, but add some variety, take some chances, and mix it up. Pattern is a foot hand crawl transitioning into a tripod hold. We're going to maintain this forward facing orientation rather than rotating out to the sides. Take a big lunge step up with the foot, post with the hand, extend the leg through and hold that position, making sure to keep the support arm locked out and stable, never melting into the shoulder. Challenge yourself to extend the leg straight out in front of you and hold it strong, just hovering it off the ground. Keep your spine elongated, the arm in the lockout position, and breathe through your nose. Next pattern is a new favorite of mine, the squat side bend. You can start in the deep knee bend position or even kneeling if it works better for you. Plant the hand, shift the weight, and then go into this deep side bend. Eventually this turns into a more dynamic transition in flow movements. Right now we're just slowing things down, enjoying the stretch, and getting a sense of the balance. Let's go through this set for another round, starting off with squat shifting. Round 1 gave me the opportunity to check in and open up my hips. In round 2, I start to expand on the movement, and this is one of my favorite ways to play around with squat shifting. So in this second round, continue exploring and expanding on the movements. Just make sure that you're being respectful of your body, that you're not forcing yourself into movements or ranges of motion that you don't yet own. Keep the practice light and playful. There's really no need to overthink it. Instead, we just stay connected to the breathing. That helps us stay mindful of how we're moving. And from that mindfulness is where we continue to learn about our body through our practice. We'll make the transition to the tripod holds next. You do you, but I'm just going to go with one longer hold each side for this second round. We'll make a transition and finish out this second set with the squat side bend. And now we'll even look at the transition this takes us into, which is almost like a little cartwheel action. The momentum comes from a lean of the body, a dynamic reach of the arms, and the push of the legs. When you can sync up all those pieces, the movement will feel effortless. We'll head into the final part of our practice today. This is set 3, and we're just going to do one round here. We'll start out with some single leg balancing. We'll spend a minute on each leg. You can choose what type of intensity that you want to bring to this. You might just be static, maybe you're creating small movements, or maybe big movements with a lot of reaching and sweeping. Focus on rooting in with that standing leg and creating stability. And once you find that stability, start adding movement. Switch legs and continue balancing. Let's transition into our next movement, knee circles. I usually perform these in the beginning of the joint by joint practice, but was feeling like giving my knees some extra love today, so here we are. I've learned to use a little bit more strength and squeeze as I go through these. So my legs are squeezing together, my core is braced strong, and I'm using the hands to create some additional compression. And from there, I'm really pulling myself into the range of motion and massaging my knees. Next, we're going into some forward folding, both relaxed and active. From this relaxed position, I'm breathing and allowing my back to stretch. Then I'll organize, go into the active position. I'll create a little bit more tension here, more brace, and find this is a great way to mobilize the posterior chain. And I can also work some shoulder mobility here. And now it's last call for any movements that you want to bring in to complete your practice today. As we wrap up today's practice, maybe just take a moment to think on your takeaway from today. What did you learn about your body, or what's the one piece of movement that really resonated with you? I think this is just a small habit to cultivate that helps grow your intuition and ultimately grow your practice. So that's a wrap for today, guys. Thank you so much for coming in and moving with me. We'll see you in the next video.